It was supposed to be just a pizza delivery, but what showed up at my door that night wasn't human. Last winter, I was living alone in a small apartment near the edge of town. Snowstorms were common, and on one particularly cold night, I decided to order a late-night pizza. Nothing felt unusual until I got the text. "I'm here." When I looked through the peephole, a man in a soaked red jacket was standing there, holding the pizza box. His head was slightly tilted like he was studying the door. I opened it just a crack. He didn't speak, just smiled, way too wide. His teeth looked wrong, yellow and sharp. I felt uneasy but blamed it on the weather, on my own nerves. I handed him the money, but he didn't take it. Instead, he slowly pushed the pizza box toward me. His fingers were thin and long, almost like twigs, trembling slightly. I grabbed the box, muttered thanks, and slammed the door shut, locking it immediately. I carried the pizza to the kitchen, but noticed the box was heavier than usual. Curious, I opened it, and my stomach twisted. Inside wasn't pizza. It was a small, blackened hand, child-sized, shriveled, with long nails scraping the cardboard. I screamed and dropped the box. When I turned toward the door to call for help, I froze. Through the narrow gap under the door, I could see fingers, 5 of them, scratching, tapping, trying to find a way in. My phone slipped from my hand as I backed away, heart hammering. Suddenly, all the lights in the apartment flickered and went out. Darkness swallowed everything. In the silence, I could hear slow, deliberate footsteps moving inside my apartment, but I had never heard the door open. A whisper echoed from the kitchen, so close it felt like it was right against my ear. Hungry, so hungry. I stumbled into the bedroom and locked myself in, hiding under the bed like a terrified child. Morning eventually came. I crawled out and found the front door wide open, snow drifting inside. The pizza box was gone, but smeared on the inside of my front door, written in something dark and sticky, were the words, "Sometimes the GPS lies, and sometimes it leads you straight to your death." 2 years ago, I worked as a night shift pizza delivery guy in a small desert town in Arizona. Orders were slow after midnight, but one night at around 2 a.m., an order popped up for an address way out near the abandoned highway. I should have ignored it. I wish I had. The address didn't even show properly on GPS, just a pin dropped in the middle of nowhere. But the app said, "Prepaid generous tip," so I went. The drive was silent, just endless dusty fields and broken down barns. After about 30 minutes, my headlights caught a mailbox standing crooked at the side of the road, the number barely visible. I pulled up and looked around. No house, just darkness and empty land. Confused, I stepped out with the pizza. The wind was strong, carrying strange whispering sounds through the fields. As I stood there shivering, I saw movement. A figure in white, standing way out in the field, waving at me slowly. I shouted, asking if they ordered pizza, but the figure just kept waving. Feeling creeped out, I placed the box on the mailbox and turned back to my car. But when I opened the door, my blood ran cold. The back seat wasn't empty anymore. Something was sitting there, their face hidden under a long torn veil. I slammed the door shut and ran, heart pounding so hard I could barely breathe. When I looked back, the figure from the field was gone. Desperate, I jumped into the car and sped off without even buckling my seatbelt. But the road seemed endless. Every time I glanced in the mirror, I caught glimpses of the veiled figure sitting calmly behind me, closer each time I looked. My car's radio turned on by itself, static blaring, and through the static I heard a low, broken voice. You can't leave. You belong here now." The steering wheel jerked violently on its own, almost throwing me off the road. Finally, I saw the town's gas station lights and screeched into the parking lot. I jumped out, screaming for help. The attendant just stared at me in horror, because according to him, I had arrived alone. My car was empty. No passenger. But when I opened the trunk later, the pizza box was inside, and under it, a dusty wedding veil. That was my last night delivering pizzas, but sometimes when I drive near that highway, my GPS glitches again, and I hear the whisper. Some doors are never meant to be opened, even for a pizza delivery. Last summer, I worked for a small local pizza shop in Chicago. One evening, just as we were about to close, an online order came in. No address, just a short instruction. Deliver to the basement entrance behind 427 Willow Street. I thought it was strange, but it was my last delivery for the night. Willow Street was in a rough part of the city. Half the houses were abandoned, windows boarded up, graffiti everywhere. When I reached 427, it looked completely empty, like no one had lived there for years. Still, behind the house, tucked between overgrown weeds and rusted trash bins, there was a small door half sunken into the ground, a basement entrance. I knocked. No answer. The door creaked open on its own, revealing pitch darkness inside. A cold, moldy smell poured out. I was about to leave when a deep, hoarse voice whispered from within. "Down here." Chills ran down my spine, but against my better judgment, I stepped inside with the pizza. My phone flashlight barely cut through the thick blackness. As I moved deeper, the door slammed shut behind me. I heard fast, scuttling movements, like dozens of feet skittering across concrete. Shadows darted along the walls. Suddenly, something grabbed my ankle, cold, slimy fingers, and tried to pull me deeper into the darkness. I kicked and scrambled back, heart hammering in my chest. I managed to yank my foot free and ran back to the door, pounding on it like a madman. From the dark hallway behind me, a dozen red eyes blinked open, getting closer. Then laughter, soft, childlike, but wrong. So wrong. The walls themselves seemed to pulse and breathe, the whole basement alive and watching me. Just when I thought it was over, the door creaked open again. But on the other side, it wasn't the street anymore. It was just more basement. I don't remember how I escaped. I woke up hours later lying outside on the sidewalk, the pizza box crushed beside me. No one believed my story. They said 427 Willow had burned down 5 years ago, and no basement had ever been rebuilt. Now every once in a while, when I pass a dark alley or stairwell, I hear it again. That voice from the dark whispering, "Down here." Not every customer who orders pizza is alive. Last fall, I picked up some extra shifts delivering pizzas in a lakeside town called Briar Lake. One rainy night, an order came through for a house listed deep inside the woods, right near the water's edge. Locals always said the lake was cursed, but I didn't believe in stories. I should have. The road twisted through thick trees, rain hammering my windshield. After almost an hour, I spotted a narrow dirt path barely wide enough for my car. At the end stood a small, rotting house, sagging toward the lake. No lights, no cars, no sign of life. I grabbed the pizza, splashing through mud toward the door. Before I could knock, the door creaked open slowly, revealing a dark, empty hallway. A wet, muddy trail of footprints led from the doorway into the house, but they weren't coming out. They were going in. Hesitating, I called out, "Pizza delivery." No answer, just the soft sound of water dripping somewhere inside. As I stepped onto the porch, a woman's voice whispered from deep inside the house. "Bring it to the basement." My stomach dropped. I hadn't seen a basement door from outside. Against every instinct, I entered. The hallway smelled like wet earth and mold. Following the muddy footprints, I found a trapdoor half hidden under a torn rug. It was slightly open, a cold mist seeping out. Shaking, I opened it wider and peered down. A pair of pale, bony hands reached out and grabbed the pizza box from me, but I couldn't see any face attached. Frozen with terror, I stumbled back, dropping the flashlight from my phone. It landed screen up at the bottom of the basement stairs, and that's when I saw them. Dozens of waterlogged figures, all barefoot, their faces bloated and twisted from drowning, moving silently toward the light. They didn't make a sound. They just stared. And one by one, they started climbing the stairs toward me. I sprinted out into the storm, not daring to look back. When I reached my car, I found a second pizza box already sitting on the passenger seat. But I hadn't put it there. Written in dripping black ink across the top were the words, "Next time, stay for dinner." I quit that night. But sometimes when it rains, my phone buzzes with a new order from Briar Lake. No address, just 2 words. Basement delivery.